What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV, second video of the day. And for this video, we're doing something a little bit strange, something different for the channel, something that we haven't done a whole lot of, and that would be a movie review. In today's movie review, we're talking about Star Wars Rogue One. Yes, I know it's pretty old at this point. It's like a month and a half, almost 2 months old now, but I just got out to see it this weekend for my birthday. So it's been a crazy holiday season. I never really got a chance to go out and see it. If it was up to me, I definitely would have been out there like right away. But you know, you got to wait for people to go with you. You got to go and watch movies as a family or with your friends and stuff. You can't just go by yourself. No one wants to be that loner at the movies, right? So I did have to wait until some people were available to go to see the movie. Finally saw it, and we're going to be talking about it in today's video. Now, something about movie reviews on this channel before we get started is that this channel is a gaming channel at its core, and that's why you haven't seen as many movie reviews as I'd like to do. I'm really big on the MCU, the DCEU, LOTR, all that kind of stuff, and if you don't know what any of that is, just pretend I didn't say it, but I'm big on movies. I'm really big into the nerddom of movies and all that. The Star Wars saga is like godly to me. I just love movies and I love TV shows, and I want to talk about that kind of stuff with you, but I also love to have matching audio-visual content. I can't just talk about something and show Call of Duty gameplay. I can't just talk about some random thing and show some other random thing. I like everything to mesh. And for the most part, most movies don't have accompanying games. Most games don't have accompanying movies. So of course, I'm very glad that Star Wars Battlefront is a thing that's still going strong. I didn't expect it to be going as strong as it was when I rejoined a couple of days ago to get this gameplay. I thought that the game would have died off, but I joined in, found a 40-player game very, very quickly. There's a lot of passionate players here, a lot of people that are level 50 plus wearing their special suits and whatever. So I am getting wrecked a little bit. It's not the greatest gameplay of my life, but man, it's a gameplay, and this game is actually doing a very, very good job of keeping up to date with the Star Wars franchise. Whenever a Star Wars movie is made, they actually update the game, put new maps in, put new weapons in, Force Awakens weapons. There's actually Rogue One maps and weapons and even game modes in this game. It's pretty crazy. I was playing last night and Jyn Erso joined the enemy team as a hero, and I had to go and kill her, which was nuts. I was like, whoa, this is so crazy. I didn't expect that to happen, and it's really great how they're actually keeping this game up and at it with the Star Wars continuity. So now that we've got our visual content, it's time to discuss Star Wars Rogue One, or Rogue One, a Star Wars story, I believe it's officially called. I'll be calling it Star Wars Rogue One or Rogue One for the rest of the video. Now, there will be some spoilers in this video. I'm going to try my best to stay away from them, but if you really are being honest with yourself, you know what's going to happen in this movie. It takes place between episodes 3 and 4. They discuss what happens to the characters in this in episode 4. The opening crawl of episode 4 tells you the entire plot of this movie in like a sentence or two. It's very straightforward. There's no crazy plot twist, nothing insane happens. Essentially, you're getting what's on your plate. You exactly know what's going to happen in this movie before you go into it if you are a Star Wars fan. That being said, there are people that will come to see this movie without seeing any other Star Wars movie before, as it is a great introduction to the series without delving too deep into the lore. So I'm going to try and stay as far away from spoilers as possible, but let's just be real here. Let's be really, really honest before we get into the video, or it's going to be very hard to beat around the bush. A lot of people are going to die in this movie. And that's just simple facts. Like, if you look at episode 4, there are not that many characters that reappear in episode 4 from Rogue One. There are a few, but for the most part, the main cast does not reappear in episode 4. And no, they're not going to go back and digitally remaster episode 4 to put them all in there. They just don't appear, and there is a reason for that. And yep, the reason is death. So it's not exactly a spoiler because most of us knew that was going to happen, but just be prepared for that. This is a dark movie, and a lot of characters will die at the end. But the thing is, the way they developed characters in this movie didn't really make you feel it as much. Like, the movie is 2 hours, 15 minutes long. It's a pretty long movie as far as movies go. But I think it could have been longer even, or maybe they could have balanced it better, because there are some elements to the movie where it goes very, very slow when they're explaining some really nonsensical things, like things that are not necessary for the plot to go forward, things that really don't need extra explanation. They take their time with. They go super slow, like, this is what's happening. We're talking really slow right now so that you can get the point. This is the mission. It's like, okay, we're not 2 years old. We understood when you told us what the mission was. 15 minutes ago. They do that a lot in this movie where they will really slow it down. I feel like the way that they're doing it is so that they can bring in the younger audience, because if you take the Star Wars series at face value, there are two very clear segments of this series. There are two eras, the first era being 4, 5, 6, the second era being 1, 2, 3. So in 4, 5, 6 we had very grizzled, kind of gritty war films, and they were just set in a sci-fi environment, and they were really marketed for an older audience, whereas episodes 1, 2, 3 really tried to connect with the younger audience. They had Jar Jar Binks, and they had lightsaber battles, and they had bright colors, and it was all carefree, well, at least until Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader and murdered a bunch of children. But essentially what Rogue One is trying to do is it's trying to bridge the audience from the childish audience of 1, 2, 3 to the adult audience of 4, 5, 6. It's trying to be a gritty war film, but at the same time it needs to go slow enough so that they can bring in those younger viewers, and those younger viewers can understand what's going on, and they can get influenced by this movie moving forward to stay with the Star Wars franchise. It feels like a branding kind of movie where they're trying to just grab as many viewers as they possibly can. As like I said, it is a great introduction to the series, so it definitely seems like they're just trying to pick up as many viewers as they can, and they're trying to cater to so many audiences that it just really bogs down the movie, and it makes it go very slow. For those of us that are already Star Wars fans, those of us that already know military tactics, those of us that already understand what's going on, we have to sit there and watch things happen again and again and again and again. Like, for example, when the movie opens, you're seeing a flashback of Jin's life when she was a child. Okay, pretty straightforward. I get it. We're seeing some character development here right at the beginning, but then 15 minutes down the line, she's dreaming, and you see the exact same flashback, just faster. Well, it's like, well, we just saw the flashback. We don't need to see that she's dreaming the flashback again. It just bogs down the movie. It takes way more time than it should. In the exact same vein, character development in this movie was a mess. There were a lot of characters that you had to get used to very fast, and you were expected to feel something for them when they died towards the end of the film. And again, not a spoiler, we knew that people were going to die, but they introduced all of these characters very fast. They introduced the Rogue One team. They're like, that guy's a pilot, that guy's a robot, that guy's an assassin, this is his motivation, her motivation, that, and they shoot it all at you in one big glob, and you need to try and understand everything right away and get going. So all of the time that they spent reiterating pointless things in the beginning of the movie, they could have spent on character development and teaching you a little bit about each of the characters and why they're there and what they're doing, and really develop these characters so that you feel more for them when they make the ultimate sacrifice towards the end of the film. Speaking of the end of the film, let's discuss the third act of Rogue One. The third act of a film, of course, being the big action set piece that most blockbusters have nowadays, the big battle, and of course there was a battle in Rogue One. If you hear someone discussing Rogue One, they're likely discussing the third act of the film, as that is where the battle, of course, happens, and the intensity really ramps up, and it gets really fast-paced and really fun. A lot of people consider the battle at the end of Rogue One to be the best Star Wars battle to date. I think Force Awakens actually takes that crown with the really personalized style of fighting that they had. Like, you were rooting for your characters in The Force Awakens as you were with the classic movies, although the classic movies didn't take it just because they didn't have the special effects or the CGI or anything like that that the new movies have. But I feel like The Force Awakens did a much better job of making you feel something for your characters, whereas in Rogue One, you kind of knew that everyone was going to die. You knew that all the characters that you were supposed to be rooting for were going to die, so you're like, yeah, like, you're fighting and it's intense and stuff, but I know you're going to go down. So instead of cheering them on and being like, yes, don't die, it was more like, oh, I can't wait to see how you're going to die, which is kind of morbid, but that's how you kind of felt when you were watching this big battle at the end of the film. That being said, the segment following the big action set piece of the third act of this film, the epilogue, let's call it, was incredible. It was disgusting. Darth Vader finally gets his chance to shine. He comes in at the very end, and he is making his last-ditch effort to secure the plans once and for all, and my god, this guy can slay. He's always been this menacing, evil character that we were supposed to fear, but we never quite knew why. Like, sure, he can beat an old man at a stick fight, and he can stand in the corner and look like a badass, but is he really that special? Is he really that good? Let me tell you, he is. This is incredible. The last 5 minutes of the film, not even 5 minutes, like the last 3 minutes of the film, totally worth the entire entry price of going to the theater to see this fucking movie. Let me tell you right now, any Star Wars fan would be giddy with joy watching the last 5 minutes, last 3 minutes of this film just for the Darth Vader alone. He is incredible. It's what we've always wanted from Darth Vader in a Star Wars movie. Let me tell you right now, 5 minutes. 5 minutes makes this entire movie worth it. But it's not like this movie was bad in any other area either. It was just that there were some problems with it. There were some editing problems. There was a lot of jump cuts at the beginning of the film. 4 planets within 5 minutes of screen time. There were some pacing issues. A lot of the characters weren't super compelling. There was some great acting, some great screenplay. I think the movie was sound in itself. It explained what it was there to explain. It explained why there's a hole in the Death Star, how the plans got stolen, all that good stuff. It was an enjoyable experience. It just wasn't as polished as you've come to expect a Star Wars movie to be. It wasn't as great. It wasn't legendary status. I think it's a great addition to the series, and it's honestly the best movie. I've mentioned this a couple times in this video. It is the best Star Wars movie for someone that's new to Star Wars. Someone that's never seen Star Wars before should definitely start with this movie, as it is kind of a break the ice type of movie. Yes, it is in between episode 3 and 4, but it's super simple to follow, and it can get you into the lore enough without really shoving it down your throat. So people that have never seen Star Wars before should definitely check out this movie. People that have seen Star Wars would really like to see this movie to get the whole experience. All in all, guys, I'm going to be giving Rogue One, a Star Wars story, a 7 out of 10. I think it's worth the 7 out of 10. It's still a great movie, and I will be buying it on Blu-ray, and I advise you do the same. If it's still in the theaters when you're watching this video and you haven't seen it, definitely head out to the theater. It's worth seeing in the theater as well. But that is it for my review. Let me know what you think about Star Wars Rogue One in the comment section down below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys on the next video.